Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of WRK Radio. Got my man Chad Hupp in the house here. I'm Aaron. We're going to go over a variety of gym-related topics and other things in the industry. Expect to see one episode per week moving forward. We're really excited to get this launched. And it's Friday, man, and here we go.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so on Monday I made a post which actually stirred up a bit of ruckus, which I think was a good thing. Kind of drew like a hard line in the sand as far as where I stand. I know where my coaches stand, where we stand in general. And it was basically about the leaders in community doing your own workouts. Whether that's the gym owner, the head coaches, any of the coaches really. If you work for your gym in any capacity, you are essentially a leader in the community. Even if it's only 1 or 2 classes a week, all the way up to the owner, people look to you. So even if you think you're like, I'm just a part-time coach and I'm only in here a little bit, yada, yada, whatever. If you are in that coach's shirt, you are accepting a different responsibility, no matter what. So if you have that shirt on, I'm going to tangent here, but if you have that shirt on and you're shopping at the grocery store, you're representing your gym at all times. So when you're actually in the community though, and in the gym and doing those workouts, it goes a long way. And I believe if you are the leader in your community, you should do your gym's workouts. I'm not saying you have to do it 6 days a week, but you should do it a fair amount of time. There's a couple of different things we'll dive in here as far as that. And I don't mean like if you're an investor in the gym or something like that or whatever. That's not what I mean. I mean who is the figure who people look at and view as their actual leaders in the community. And I feel like it's very easy to tell at your gym who those individuals are. So anyway, I believe that's what you should be doing in your gym. Not everyone feels that way. There's a couple of different opinions on that. We're going to kind of hit a couple of different points here, but so a good point Chad just brought up was, well, if you're not doing your workouts, how would you know, not to be negative, but how would you know if they're good or how would you know if they just suck? Just straight up.
It's quality control. So you doing your own workouts, you get the benefit from it. So if I'm writing X amount of barbell or whatever it is, but I'm not doing it, I don't feel what my athletes feel. So if we keep doing it, the athletes can't be up. We're not doing it. We never realize it. If we are doing it, we're like, hey, we need to back off a little bit. We back off a little bit. And it goes in a positive way too. It's if I'm doing these workouts and I'm getting the results, and that means my athletes are also getting the results too as well. So us as leaders, us doing the workouts, it makes sure that we are doing selling what we want to sell in our gym's programming. So if we want our members to stay healthy, to get the results, to stay for retention, we need to make sure that they're enjoying the workouts and want to keep coming back for more.
For sure. And we obviously have a special balance. Chad and I write all the workouts for our gyms and all of the work affiliates as well. And we have a pretty good complement to each other. When one of us is getting a little bit too far this way or that way, or maybe specifically avoiding the movement, we're kind of able to counter each other in that sense. And there's always one of us that's doing the workout almost every day, even if one of us is banged up or takes a day off or is doing something. But not everyone has a special relationship like that or someone they can just go to and they'll give them the honest truth. So if you don't have that in your gym, or you have a smaller gym, or maybe you don't have as good of a relationship with your coaches and you're not doing the workouts, then you're just relying on them to be 100% honest and candid with you, and they may not always be. So that's the reason why it's important to do your workouts.
You got to know how they feel, and you got to know how your fitness journey is going, because that's going to affect your team and then your members as well.
For sure. Another thing too is when you look at this, some people open a gym because they're passionate about it. Some invest in a gym because they want to make money. Some do both, which I think is the best route, right? No one opens a business to go out of business.
Yeah.
And I don't think profit is a bad word or something that you should avoid, because you got to pay your bills and you got to pay rent and salaries and all kinds of other stuff. It's a business in of itself, but it can still be a business you're passionate about. And some people will say, oh, it doesn't matter about the passion, like you should just do what's profitable or this and that. But I think this industry is special because you can target both passion and profit. So as far as the industry being special, it's just a little bit different. It's like, why wouldn't you do your workouts? And just to make a crazy off-the-wall comparison, if I was the CEO of Pop-Tarts, it would probably be weird if I ate Pop-Tarts for lunch every day, not to mention just silly and unhealthy, right? So in that case, no one would be like, hey, Aaron, Shame on you for not practicing what you preach and eating a Pop-Tart every day with lunch, right? That would just be ridiculous. But this industry is just so special in that sense that most of us got into it just because we truly love it. So again, I don't want to harp on this, but you kind of get where I'm going with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you definitely need to bleed it a little bit, but you don't need to make it to where you're so completely saturated in it.
Right.
Unless you really like that Pop-Tart flavor.
Strawberry frosted's kind of good. And another thing too is I think some people get caught up with, well, I can't do this or I can't do that. In the end, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have ring muscle ups or an awesome clean and jerk or can run fast or are even in shape. If you're trying, that's what's important. I know we always hear like, hey, effort over everything or whatnot, but like it is kind of true. Like if you're the owner of your gym and you're not the fittest athlete, who cares? I think a lot of gym owners are fine with that, but I've also seen a lot over the years that struggle with this ego of thinking that just because they're the owner or they're one of the head coaches or they're this figurehead in the community that they have to be the fittest or one of the fittest. And that's so silly because your average member cares about how you make them feel, not about your athletic ability.
Yeah, that too. And honestly, short story, years ago, I was in a class workout, and it was a class I never go to. So this afternoon class never saw me work out, and it was a tough one. And I was the
gym.
No, this is before I knew. This is where also kind of like made me in the right headspace about being even more involved with the community. It went to a completely different class I would go to, and one of the members came up to me. He's like, "Hey man, you were really dying in that workout." And I was like, yeah. And like, no, it was awesome because like we all were, but like you were right there with us. Like it's awesome to see, you're a normal person and you do this too. So, even if you're not games level athlete or top tier level athlete, just doing it and being with your members goes a long way to them. More that we see or we ever realize. Like I never thought that. Like I never thought our members would like to see me suffering a workout and like, oh crap, man, I was really dying at third round, but so is he. That made me want to push more. That made me appreciate more what the coaches do for us. So
for sure, yeah, it goes a couple different ways there too. So if you go to our gym, you know this. We've been doing this for the last couple of years. Is actually an idea we got from CrossFit Clearwater way back in the day, where Guy and I went, and a bunch of us prior to opening up CrossFit Plus Chase. But on Thursdays we do what's called Lungs Thursday. It's a long. I know everything's constantly varied, but on Thursday, you can expect that we're going to have like a long cardio grind, right? We're going to have run, jump ropes, machines, whatever it is. We're going to kind of stay away from heavy barbells that day. Thursday used to be like one of the slowest days in the gym. A lot of people work out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, take Thursday off, get back on Friday, Saturday, whatever, go about the weekend. We kind of changed that a few years ago when we made like Lungs Thursday a thing. And for some people, it's their favorite day. I like them a ton too. But there was a Lungs Thursday like a year ago. And I just kind of went through the motions. I was beat up, but I still wanted to just kind of sweat and move that day. And I jumped into one of the morning classes, did the workout, like probably finished like middle of the pack because I just was kind of cruise control. I just wanted to move that day. I didn't feel like tapping in any intensity level. And someone came up and they're like, "What were you doing?" It's like, why were you so far back?
Shocked that you were giving it your all and just completely selling out.
Yeah, and I was like, well, just because I'm just being aware of my body today. I had a hard couple of days, been stressed out or whatever. Rather than not doing anything today, this is what I chose to do. And she was almost like, it was like a light bulb went off her head. She's like, oh, yeah, I don't have to like die every single day.
No, you don't have to completely sell every day. And you doing that sets a great example. And like, oh, like Aaron, like this badass athlete can do this. It's okay if I pull back a little bit too. So.
Yeah, that was just one small little kind of like teaching moment that I'm sure has happened dozens and dozens of times, probably 10 times that I forgot about, where a member was like, "Wow, that's really cool. Like I can come and just kind of move. I don't have to like just lay it all on the line today. There's a time and place for intensity, as everybody knows, and it's okay to do that sometimes. So it's kind of cool. If I didn't do that day, then I don't know. Maybe she'd still be going hard every single day.
Yeah,
probably.
Yes.
Another thing too is. Seth Godin, I believe, is the author. He talks about whether or not you have otaku. That is basically a Japanese saying for being obsessed with something. And that's super important when it comes to business. If you're obsessed with your business, that's probably good for business, right?
Yeah.
So if you already have identified the fact that you want to carve a career out of the fitness industry, then this is just one of those things where you should go all in to everything you can to keep things moving in your favor. And it's like, well, if I do want to work out, I'm probably more likely to have a better community. I'm probably more likely to have members that don't jump off to the side to do other things because they see the head coaches, they see the people they're looking up to, they see every coach, the part-time coaches, the once-a-week coaches, everybody's doing that. And if everyone has that in Taku and everyone's kind of equally obsessed with it in a good way, right? That's a good thing, opposed to the other way of not doing my workouts and everything else that leads to that, from the culture fallouts and people doing their own thing, and it just leads to so many different things. And the Howard Schultz, who didn't found Starbucks, but he's widely credited with much of its success, he said to have that otaku about coffee, right? Makes sense.
Yeah. Built
the biggest coffee empire in the world. That's probably why Starbucks breakfast sandwiches taste like crap.
Not the best.
Not the best. Right? He's not obsessed with breakfast sandwiches. It's not their main product at all. Like, those things probably account for less than 1% of their total sales. So what are they focused on? They're focused on the coffee, right? They're focused on all the different blends and cold brew and this and that. I don't know. My wife goes there and I have to type down her order because it's 5 different things. I still don't understand the sizes. I'm just medium, right? Right. But their obsession just bleeds through. You can tell everyone, the baristas, and everyone's very aware of that. And if your coaches react in the same way, but as to how coffee is to Starbucks and how fitness is to your gym, right? I think success is more likely to follow.
Agreed. Strongly agreed. that will carry on in so many different levels, especially with all the coaches being tied, and they can have their own little obsessions within the fitness and within what the gym's doing, and then spread it and make it even more organic too, right, as well. So as long as the leaders and the head coaches are involved with what we're doing, and then also taking it to their own level of intensity, even for the workouts and training, it just makes it to where it can be reached from all different types of members in different ways.
For sure. And then obviously there's exceptions to the rules in some degree. If you're a high level athlete and you're training for something and you're in your gym, there is very few reasons that you couldn't jump in your classes once or twice a week and hit the class with somebody. Even someone was just telling me the other day that Justin Medeiros at his gym, right, 2-time CrossFit Games champion, and he wanted to jump into his judge classes sometimes. I think that's really cool because I think that can be missing throughout the years when I was competing more and traveling around. Sometimes I go to a gym and there'd be the really fit guy or girl there, and they would do classes all the time. Sometimes you're like, oh no, I don't ever do that. And I never said anything at the time, like, who am I to judge, right? But I always thought it was kind of odd.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how fit you are. You can be able to squeeze your workout. And if you have a coach who is like, no, you're not doing that because you're going to do all of these workouts, I think they're doing you a disservice.
You need a coach.
Fire them. Because they're missing part of the point that makes this all fun. It's not fun to do this by yourself day in, day out, year after year. And right, I'm talking about a select few here, so don't take this out of context. But there's ways where you can still chase your sport, even if it's not in the sport of fitness or whatever. If you're focused on other things, or you're a professional golfer, or tennis player, whatever. But if you're in your gym and in that setting, you can benefit from hopping your classes a couple days a week, doing a static partner workout, whatever. There's myriads of ways. So I think it's silly to not find the route that enables you to pursue your goal and still be a part of the community.
Absolutely. I believe it's a necessity.
Right. And I've worn a couple of different hats, whether it's high-level athlete, owner, just a gym member when I started. And throughout each stage of that, I always wanted to do the class. It's also, when I got into CrossFit, I didn't know that competing was a thing. I just was like, oh, this is a cool workout. Guy and I showed up and we did it. And we would go to the regular gym later on, right? We were younger, didn't have kids, and had a lot more time to do stuff like that. And it wasn't until 6 months in where I was like, oh, you guys race each other and go to other things and do stuff. And obviously then, founded one of their route there. But again, it starts kind of with that fundamental base of that tribal feeling of, hey, I'm surrounded by a bunch of other people. We're all going through this together. At the end, we high five and stuff. And if you're already in the community, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not, it's hard to understand until you just go try it. But again, I think it all just comes back to, I want to wrap this up because I don't want it to take too long, but just setting the example and just walking the walk, not just being like, yeah, you should do this, but I'm going to go do this.
Or suffer with your members.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. That was episode 1 of WRK Radio. Chad, Aaron, and we'll see you guys next week.